Have you ever dreamed of building a successful business from scratch, moving into real estate, or even owning luxury hotels? Well, you're in for a treat today. Hey there, dreamers and doers. Welcome back to The Founder's Journey. I'm your host, Jonathan Killam. Today, we're diving into an extraordinary story that will inspire and empower you. In this episode, I have the honor of interviewing Doron, an incredible immigrant from Israel. Doron served in the IDF and was a lieutenant in the Israeli Air Force before coming to the United States with nothing. Doron started from scratch and grew a business to 7 figures, and then made a significant transition into multifamily investing and development. Now, Doron owns multiple businesses, including his own property management company, which oversees his vast portfolio of multifamily properties. But he didn't stop there. Doron shares his inspiring journey and the mindset needed to overcome challenges and achieve massive success. And trust me, there's a surprising twist in his journey that you'll definitely want to hear about. Before we dive in, be sure to annihilate the subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a new episode. If you find this content valuable, give us a thumbs up and share it with anyone who might benefit. Your support helps us bring more quality content to you. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we have coming next. So go ahead, smash those buttons, and let's keep the momentum going. Without further ado, let's dive in. All right, everybody. So welcome back to The Founder's Journey. I'm with my friend Doron today. He is a member of my real estate investing group, the Gators. So Doron, I'll let you take it away and introduce yourself to everybody.
Hey, thank you for having me. My name is Doron. I'm doing real estate for about a decade now. I've been trying to, basically input that as a multi-layer strategy between being a full-time real estate developer in a multifamily space and owning businesses, acquiring businesses. I used to do full-time business buildings. I built and sold 7-figure businesses before I went full blown into real estate. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, I know you're definitely doing things at a high level. I want to go back though. So before we get to, like Pace likes to say, let's build the runway, right? So I want to go back a little bit with whatever you're comfortable with, if you wouldn't mind taking us back through the journey of your life and all the way up to where we are now.
Oh, geez, what a loaded question. So let's see. I was born in Israel. I up to maybe 4 years of age, I was there, and then I flew to Kenya with my parents to Africa. I was raised in a British school. At age 4, I was wearing a blazer, a jacket, shiny shoes. My teacher name was Mrs. Bentley. True story. Funny how you remember everything, right? Like I'm in my mid-40s and I remember her name. But so I was raised there for a little bit. I lived in Mombasa, and then Nairobi. Then we flew back, and I was raised a little bit more in Israel. I pretty much had, unfortunate circumstances where my one and only twin brother got diagnosed with terminal cancer, and my dad was never around, and I was kind of raising myself because my mom was always in the hospital with my brother, and I was a bit of a rebel, to be honest. And looking back, now I have 3 kids. I was just looking for attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, long story short, my dad wasn't too happy with it. Back then, things were a little bit different than they are now. But let's just say I found myself at a very early age by myself. Since I was about 14, I just wanted out. I went into a military academy in Israel. Um, there are 2 options, basically, either go home every day or stay there like a soldier in the base, go out once a month. And I chose that because, it was the better fit for me. And that's it. Then went into, cleaned up my act, went into the Air Force, became an officer, first lieutenant. And as soon as I got discharged, I basically, in a matter of a few months, I felt like I can't really fulfill myself here. It's almost like I had a glass ceiling. I just wanted more. I wanted more for myself. I wanted more for my life. And I'm like, you know, I knew someone here that he pretty much told me, maybe you should come, just see if you like it here. And I'm like, hey, I got nothing to lose. I bought a ticket for 6 month round trip. And 20, 25 years later, I'm still here. Yeah, I came here by myself. But 2 weeks later, I basically, we roommated a little bit, and then we had a conflict where, she just didn't like the spotlight being on me, or some issue that nobody really understood. And I'm like, c'est la vie, I'm out. And yeah, man, foreign country, you don't have a driving license, you can't even own a car. You're basically, nobody, and you have to figure your life out pretty much at early 20s, right? Like, you don't have any parents here, you don't have any family members to help you, support you, no safety net. You got about, I don't know, a few hundreds of dollars for your name, and you can't even open a bank account, and you have to kind of figure out your act. So yeah, man, good times.
That's awesome. It's interesting to me how every time I've seen a similar situation where someone's coming from another country like that, and it's like the stress that is put upon that person actually quite often turns them into a diamond, for lack of a better word, because stress does that. And I mean, you're doing big things now, Doron. I mean, that stress, I mean, it molded you into the person that you are today. And I'm not trying to inflate your ego, your head too big here. But it's true. I mean, once we get a little bit further in, the audience will understand what I'm talking about. Like, you've taken down some pretty big deals, and it's impressive. So let's get more into that. I mean, you came to America and, didn't know what to do, or, where you were going really. And then somewhere along the line, you studied up and you figured it out, and where did you start? Like, did you start a business, or did you start working for somebody? Where was where was the beginning of your journey here in America as far as business goes?
I was pretty much just doing anything under the sun, that I could earn a buck for, temporary jobs and things like that, till I found well, I don't want to say till I found a cute girl, because she found me. We were somewhere, and a mutual friend of ours, like, "Yeah, what about her? She's a cute girl." And I'm like, "No, leave me alone. I'm not interested." And she literally grabbed me by my ear, pulled a chair, put a chair next to her, and told me, "Now sit your butt down and talk to her." She was old enough to be my mom, the lady that did it, right? So, uh, you know, I'm going somewhere with this story, that she was basically the pivoting moment of my life, now to be my wife 20 years later. We basically started dating. I met her brother, which was a big carpet cleaning contractor. And I was working as a manager in the shoe store. I was running a a shoe store, and he's like, "How much you making there?" And this, that, and the other thing. And, "Oh, you can make so much money. Come work for me." Da 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 da. Between having a $400 a week paycheck and a $1,500 a week paycheck, I'm like, cool. Put my notice, left, started working with him. And next thing you know, I'm making the guy about 10 grand a week, and just hustling, man, hustling, upselling, learned a lot about myself that period of time that, um, stuff I just didn't know had in me, to be honest with you. And then fast forward 2007, the recession hits, and he's like, "Listen, I can't keep you anymore. You got to figure it out. There's nobody cleaning your carpets, and then you're on your own, pretty much." I looked at the other guy with him. He was also Israeli, 10 years older than me with 2 kids. You get my wife 9 months pregnant. We just bought our first house, and I'm like, all right, well, now what? Again, you got to figure it out. All right, well, I looked at the guy. He looked at me. The guy that used to work with him was a subcontractor. We used to take jobs from him. And what are we going to do? Well, the only thing we know how to do, we clean carpets, right? Look, all right, let's open a company. Let's clean carpets. Opening company, we did right by people, and then we kind of grew up to making half decent money. And then I learned I had not a bad partnership, because the guy was honest. The guy was, he was in base. He was a good guy. He was having like a, not a business owner mentality. He didn't really want to grow the company. He was just trying to do less as possible and be home as early as possible. Like, he was going with his family to the public pool and his kids at 1:00. I'm like working till like 9 p.m., every single day, just trying to put systems in place and trying to put, operations in a way where I can actually scale this thing. And he was just not interested, getting accounts, like, to get contracts in. And he's supposed to run operations. He's just running things to the ground. Like, anytime I felt I'm accomplishing something, he's coming, he's just destroying it. And it didn't work out. We almost went under a couple times. And when he reached a point where we're like $350,000 in debt, I'm like, "Listen, Joe, this is not working out. Like, either you write me a check or I'll write you a check." We went into this as friends, and I want to live as friends. I don't want to, fight with anybody. And although it was completely his fault, I was very respectful about it. I mean, he had 2 kids to feed, and I was not trying to play around with his livelihood. But, I also had to figure things out for my own. And I knew he's going to walk away, because he can't run the company. He was just trying to do minimum things every single day anyway. And long story short, he came to me, next day. He's like, "You buy me out." And I'm looking at myself. I'm like, "All right, great, genius. Now what? How are you going to buy him?" Like, I don't have money. I just, like, we're not in a good spot financially. And I'm like, all right, let me try to figure this out. I'm thinking, researching, making phone calls, calling brokers for loans, trying to figure it out. And I found a way to actually lend against my receivables. So I had receivables out for a few thousands of dollars, and I was able to find someone to basically get me a business loan against whatever I have out in the street. So I literally wrote him a check of money that I didn't have. I was borrowing money to buy him out. So I'm about, almost $500,000 in the hole between what I borrowed and, the debt that we had in the company. And, shit got real. You have to, like, you're back against the wall. You gotta do or die, right? And it's kind of what I did. I basically took the company from about 5 employees to Before we sold it, I think we had something like 42 employees. We did the service for uh, about 3.5 million households over 2 states, and had about 63 and 63 insurance companies working with us. Um, and I just scaled it to 7 figures. I sold it. I had a proof of concept. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Let's basically start another one. And I took the database of the carpet cleaners, the carpet cleaning customers that basically were now calling me for um, uh, extracting the water from their basements. Now they have flood damage. So I started doing restoration work. I picked up restoration work, water damage restoration, and then I diversified it. I did also, fire damage, end up in the mold damage clean. And next thing you know, I'm just going the commercial way, and I was able to build it up. I got some good accounts. I'm in areas like listeners, they know Starbucks, and I had contracts with Starbucks, with Barnes and Nobles, with FedEx offices, Chipotle, and I built that out. And that company also was at peak. We had 67 employees, about a couple dozens of trucks on the road. They catered to about 5.4 million households over 3 states: Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, about 18 counties. And everything was going well. Then, I suddenly lost my dad, and I kind of pivoted. I'm like, messed with my head. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's how I kind of landed in real estate. I probably gave you more than what you asked for, but
No,
you wanted the story, so I gave it to you.
you gave me everything that I needed.
All right, well, I'm happy.
And my condolences. I know that that's tough. I lost my father as well when he was in his mid-50s, so I get it.
Yeah.
So did you sell that business?
Yeah, I sold that business, and I just needed to again figure it out, right? Like I don't have a game plan. I sold the last company. And I know I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't have a game plan. I was not at a young age, and back then I had 2 kids before my third one, and I'm thinking, what am I doing now? So I did a little bit of business consulting because I know a lot about business. I know how to build a company. I know how to really fix a scale one. Because a buddy of mine does that, and he came one time to the last company I sold, and he was super impressed. And he's like, "Dude, I can't believe how lean you're running this. I can't believe your margins. Like, you did a phenomenal job systemizing everything." And he was really impressed that when I sold that business, I spoke to him. He's like, "Listen, I was really, really, really impressed. Like, can you maybe joint venture with me and help me in my business consulting gig that I have?" And I'm like, helping people and get paid for it? I'm in. Like, I love helping people. You know me. You know me from our community. This is not to brag or anything. Like, I really honestly believe that I don't derive any more pleasure that like from anything under the sun than more than happy people. Like, this is so true about me. And my mom used to tell me when I was a child, stop helping people. The road for hell is paved from good intentions. She used to tell me that as a kid. And one of my first fights with my wife is over this. Like, stop helping people. Like, stop it. Who's going to help you the way you're helping people? This is just again, not to brag. I'm just so passionate about those things, and it was like a hook for me, like this easy of a decision for me to make. And going into businesses, they were underperforming, and make them scale, and then just how many people are being fed from one business. I mean, small businesses. We're not talking about huge. I mean, this is life changing for people. People who were about to lose their jobs, and now because I helped them, they're making a good living. Business owners frustrated, don't know how to basically get out of the mud, and you come and you help those people. I mean, it was very rewarding for me, but I knew it was a stop because I didn't want to make a career out of it. And then I figured, you know what, I'll just do real estate because I was always drawn to it, and I did it on a very small scale by basically just renting a little bit of properties I had. I never did a fix or flip or anything like that, but every place I used to live, I basically bought another house and I rented. So I'm like, you know what, I don't want to do single family home with the amount of knowledge I have in business, and was fortunate enough to have a good enough capital to do a multifamily move. I want to do multifamily because, I looked at it as a business, and I knew that I know business. So I'm like, I can do this, and that's kind of where I started.
So I'm curious to go back a little bit because I told you earlier that we have a commercial and residential cleaning company, and my assumption is that your bread and butter for bringing in leads was contacting insurance companies. You had touched on that, so that they could basically bring you their clients whenever there was a catastrophe. Is that the case, or would you say that you used a different tactic to bring in most of your business?
Yeah. So there's a concept called multi-layer marketing, which is basically, say you were so I'm going to try to keep this short, but if you're marketing for agents, you can do it on a few layers. If you marketing, and then you can also say this is one resource, the agency. You can also, on top of that virtue, you can have multiple virtues, and for each of those virtues, you can have a few layers on. Am I making sense? So agents, for example, I had marketing people driving in cars that are wrapped with my company's name, going to agents' offices, talking to them. I had candy jars. We filled candies in, and all kind of merchandise between pens and coffee cups and just calendars with my company's name on it. But I also took license of being an educator, and I'm sorry for not remembering the name, but it was basically a certificate by the state that allows you to teach short classes for agents and give them credits in exchange for their time going through that course. They're called CE courses, continuing education, and they need to have them done. And again, you're talking way back, but I think they needed like 2 credits a year or 4 credits a year, something like that. Again, I don't know the nitty gritty because I didn't really do it. I had marketing people that basically were in charge on those things. But for example, the agent virtue, we had multiple layer marketing strategy on. And then we had different contractors, say plumbers, right? Like who's coming for a flooded house? What's the first phone call you make? You call a plumbing company, right? Hey, my pipe burst or my toilet overflew, because we also did sewage cleanup. So yeah, that's kind of how I got my leads. Oh, and then obviously internet. Back then it was big. Like Google was kicking off organic, paid ad, pay-per-click. I had multiple websites, multiple numbers, and like just leads were coming in, some organically, some paid ad. I had a phone number on each of them. I had the software basically that if you called, let's say, a Yelp listing, I had a whisper that the girl in the office picked up. He whispered Yelp, and she knew it's from Yelp. So we tracked exactly where we got everything from. Everything was really systemized. So I knew, this venue is making me more money than that venue. Let me lower the flames here and increase them there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I had a pretty good system for leads.
That's awesome. So yeah, now you're in multifamily real estate. Can Could you tell us about your first deal that you bought multifamily?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a funny story. I mean, it's funny now. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny going in. Uh, so my first ever real estate transaction, I bought a half a block warehouse in an industrial, semi-industrial residential area, and I knocked it down. Then what I did, I started some land entitlement. I subdivided it, and I sold about half of that land for whatever the entire thing cost me. So I brought all my money that I invested back.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is free and clear. I mean, for me, on my books, on my balance sheet, I didn't have any debt. Like I paid myself back with all the money. And then I used it towards a large construction loan. And then I basically built a 25 unit apartment complex building on my half. And that was my first real estate transaction. Never mind you, I never did a fix and flip. I never did a rehab. I couldn't tell a 2x4 from a hole in the wall. Like, yeah, but I did okay with it. I did okay with it. I finished it in about 12 months. The bank gave me 18 months. I finished in 12 months. They gave me about I think it was 6 to 10 months to stabilize it, get it fully rented, and was able to do it in 4 months. So, yeah, I mean, I think that my success has a lot to do with the fact that I looked at it as a business, not as a real estate transaction. I mean, from the operation standpoint of it, from, just the execution of the things, the numbers, budgeting and all those stuff. And I think that's really the key reason why I was able to monetize well on it. And then about a year later, I think it was a year or something like that, I saw the guy didn't do nothing with his half, so I ended up getting his half also and putting another multifamily on his half of the lot. So yeah, that was my my first introduction to real estate.
So I can kind of see that it's there, but yet it hasn't been dragged out of you yet. Tell me about some of the headaches and hurdles that you dealt with on that first one that you had built, because it seems like there's some underlying grief that you've dealt with there. So tell me about that and how you overcome those particular obstacles. There, I know there has to be some.
Well, I think that life taught me that you don't need to know everything, right? And a lot of times it's not what you know, it's who you know. I was on the technical aspect of the build, was trying to tap into people's brains and trying to learn how to do the technical aspect of it. And the grief was that, kind of like anytime you are relying on people, right, that they'll disappoint you and they're not going to deliver what they said they will, and they're not going to do things they said they're going to do, and if they did, they're not going to do it at the level or the way that they said they will. So you kind of have to fill gaps, plug holes, and those things. But grief, I don't look at it as grief. I look at it as lessons. Anytime I fall, I don't care if I'm falling on my face. It doesn't really matter how hard you fall. It's just, you just stand up, you take a step back and you think what caused it. And you want to really make sure you're getting the lesson out of it. Because this is like kind of how I look at it. I look at things that when I fail I look at them as lessons. And I really want to make sure I learned from them. And I raise my kids the same exact way. They're like, automatically getting fixated on the mistake. And I'm like, listen, what can you learn from it? This is what you want to kind of have you focus in. Just look at this as a lesson, because anybody makes mistakes, but only dummies repeat the same mistake. So just don't be a dummy and just learn from it. And that's it. Who was it? They said Newton, I think, the one that invented the light bulb. Said it took him about 1,000 times until he got it right. And one of his assistants like, "You're not. How come you didn't give up and you failed 999 times?" And he said, "No, I learned 999 ways of not doing it." And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's all about how you're taking it. Life happens all the time. You can't necessarily choose what happens to you, but you do have the power to choose how to react to it. So, I mean, this is just how I look at things, and I just didn't let things bring me down. I'm just kind of accustomed to it by now. From a very early age, I think I have a very strong mentality of keep on going. You put a wall in front of me, I'll walk around, and if I can, I'll just walk through it. It's just how I'm geared up. It's not about being smart. It's about, I think, persistency and just figuring things out by trial and error, I guess.
Just keep going.
Yep.
I agree 100%. That's definitely the mentality to have. If you're the type of person that just is going to crawl up in a corner and cry if something doesn't go your way, then running a business is not for you. Go get a W-2 job and live the safe life, because if you can't handle it, then that's the best route for you. So how many doors are you sitting on now? I know you've got multiple multifamilies. I just saw one on your Facebook that you acquired as well. And you got this other pretty cool thing that you're doing in the middle of the city. Tell me about those things.
So you said something I want to key on for a second.
Yep.
Yes, it's not for everyone to be a business owner. People see business owners, they see the nice car, the big house, and everybody wants it, right? But I have a saying for it. Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everybody wants the thing, but they're not willing to do what it takes to do, to get the thing. And so, yeah, I have a 120 unit in Myrtle Beach on the contract. That is a very interesting acquisition. I am wrapping up a luxury multifamily built 20 units in the city, very, very dense area. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm getting we've been in a recession for a while, but I'm literally getting 20% more rent where everyone's just lowering their rent down because people just want nice things and people are willing to pay more for nice things. And it's just the truth of the matter. And some people can argue with me, and that's okay, but it's a fact.
If it's working out for you. Is that the resort, the one that I saw the beautiful pool getting put in the middle of?
No, that's a different one. So, but the resort, I mean, that's the flagship. I mean, this is if you're lucky enough to do anything like that in your life, then, I can die tomorrow. I'll die with a smile on my face. This is a project that I take so much pride in. It was actually senior living. It's kind of sad, but about 70% of the residents got wiped out in COVID. They didn't survive. And initially, I picked it up for multifamily conversion. I wasn't planning on making a resort out of it. And I started with a construction loan for a 50-unit apartment building conversion, and about 25-30% in, the city basically changed the regulations for short term. And in the state, they said Airbnb is no longer allowed, just like they do in a lot of metropolises in the country. They did it in LA, in New York, and a lot of people were basically dumping their Airbnbs and running for the hills and like just shutting down. And I'm looking at the trend of people just running for the hills, and my business sense kicked in where you see people running away. There's always an opportunity. Sometimes in life, when people run from the flames, I run into the flames because there's a lot of times opportunities. And I'm like, okay, how can I monetize on it? It's going to be a void in the market now that, there's not going to be any short-term inventory. And I kind of, figured out I'll pivot for a hotel license if I can get one. And started the variance process. Variance is basically to change the zoning to short-term accommodation. And I was able to have the right lawyers in place, that I worked with in the past, and we were able to get the zoning changed and get the hotel license. And then I took another construction loan, and I went just all in. I kind of poured all my development relationships that I had as a developer. I get a lot of things overseas. I get stuff like cabinetry custom built in Turkey. I have vendors I deal with in Greece, in Italy, and even the pool I've flown in from London. As you know, you mentioned that. China, a lot of stuff. I have like custom luxury items also made in China, and even the furniture there was fabricated in Indonesia, because the markup here for furniture in the U.S. is like 600%. It's nuts.
Mm.
And like I said, I just gave it my whole, and it's 3-year build, man. It's not like wham bam thank you, man. Like 6 month. It's just lipstick on a pig, right? This is and had a lot of issues there with the banks. Interest rate went up, so everyone just kind of panicked. All the banks were like, I had a situation. Every time you do a construction loan, you hit a phase and you request more draw for money. I had at one point 5 draws in the hole that they didn't pay me for.
Oh,
yeah. And this is the construction loan on. I mean, you're talking about like about $8.5 million of construction loan. You're not talking about like $100,000 rehab budget here.
so why would a bank deny you for your draws if you're showing them that the work is being done and that you're on track?
Exactly. So here's a funny answer. You want to get the answer?
Yeah, I'd love the answer, obviously.
Pretty long. I asked that question to other than the people in the bank, but one time I was really pissed. I didn't snap at the bank inspector. I'm like, I'm so over this, man. And he, you know what he told me? He told me, listen, they owe me 12 inspections. This guy works for them. They pay him to go and inspect properties, and they didn't pay him, their own guy, 12 inspections. I never had any business done with this bank. It's not one of my regular banks, but this project is a different animal. Most people didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And I would never, ever use this bank again. And I'm actually now, although I'm not completed, I'm switched. I'm taking a bridge just to dump them. But this is something that, sometimes you I guess you encounter when you do things like that, but I never certainly did. I have really good relationships with my lenders. I not just only pay on time, I also always finish my project under the time they gave me and under budget. Always, not a single time I was over budget. I did a complex building as soon as COVID hit. I mean, a week before they shut the city down when it just started in China, before the US even closed the skies. I broke ground. A week later, the city's shut down. There's no inspections. There's no nothing. Halted. Everyone's panicking. I don't know if you remember lumber costs sky high.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Right? All those things. I didn't went over budget. People were losing their underwears, the shirt on their backs, because they couldn't complete projects. I mean, I got friends that they couldn't complete it because they had a certain budget approved and the budget went, 50, 60% over. I mean, the bill went 50, 60% over budget. And so I'm not completely off topic, but, I went through through a lot in very difficult times. And I always had good relationships with my lender because even through the most difficult times, I didn't fail. I always came up on top, and I came on top in a very good way, under budget and under time on all my developments. And I never had such an experience with a bank before. This is clearly a bank that doesn't care about building relationships. I mean, if you care about building relationships, you don't act like that. And so I don't know what it was. I really don't care. I was just like bleeding money. Like I can't even find a word in my vocabulary to explain to you how much money I was bleeding. But yeah.
The most important thing, though, is, brother, that you knew how to pivot. So you talked about how you took that bridge and you're going to dump them. So, a lot of people don't even have the wherewithal to know that that's even a thing, right? So you found a way to get yourself out of the situation. And it's funny, too, you said everything halted. You know what didn't halt for investors? Their payments to the bank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Of course, I know. I was writing the checks.
Yeah. So everyone else stopped, but those payments didn't stop. They expected that to keep coming.
Yeah. And what I did, I went to the lumber yards and I basically bought everything they had in their yard before the delivery of the things that increased in value was coming. So I didn't actually get priced at the higher price point. So when plywood went from $7.50 to $32 a sheet,
you jumped.
I jumped, and I'm like, so my budget on the lumber alone, an example on that bill, should have gone from $280,000 to $420,000 had I didn't pivot. And I went and I just hustled. And I negotiated with them a better price, and I bought everything. And I told them, now just release it, disperse it every time we call for it. And they just sent trailers whenever we needed another delivery. They slowly basically did the disbursements, but I took everything, and I was negotiating with all the vendors, and the vendors were struggling also because they couldn't get, also a lot of their money's in. And so here comes the guy like me that basically is like crazy enough to like pay cash for everything. They didn't know if I'm crazy or they want to hug me. Like they didn't know. But yeah, so I finished the under project where under budget when people were losing the shirt on their back. So a lot of creative thinking, that's for sure. And that's kind of why I joined the community in PACE, because I like to think creatively. I didn't do creative real estate ever, but I was just known to be thinking outside of the box and things I did.
Yeah. You call it crazy, I call it genius. There's really no other word for it. Have you done any creative deals since you've been in the community? Anything sub two solar finance? Have you done anything with Gator? I mean, you've dumped a ton of knowledge in our
Yeah.
network. I'll tell you that much.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. Thank you so much. Um, so the first, not even 6 months in Gator, I did multiple six figures of income. I, I'm not a bragger, but because I was basically, you know, I had some solid knowledge in real estate, so I knew how to really underwrite things well and take shoulders of security in case something will go wrong. And almost like worst case scenario, when I lose, I'll still win.
mm, uh
So, again, I was lucky enough to get into Gator with a good amount of, real estate experience. So, but yeah, I just didn't do like the sub twos things and things like that. The only sale of finance I did is on businesses, on two businesses that um I I acquired. Well, the second one is it's not done yet. I mean, I also buy small businesses as a means of diversification a little bit on my risk management and just my personal way of doing things, but not on real estate because I didn't really do single family. I just right off the bat, I just wanted to do multifamily, as you know, because I just feel that the model is more scalable than single family.
Do you have a property manager in place for each one, or for the whole portfolio that you currently have,
For the whole
or are you doing it
portfolio.
yourself?
Yeah, for the whole portfolio, I have a property management company that basically I own with my team in place that manages everything. But the resort is a different system. It's completely different animal. There's a lot of commercial components there. There's a chef restaurant. There's two bars. There's sauna. There's a lot of elements of revenue there that needs to be not just financially managed, but operationally sound. You don't have any room. It needs to be tight. There's no room for errors. Like the property management say has when someone calls at 11 o'clock, we'll send someone tomorrow. No, now everything has to be like done right now. If you're a guest, you need things done now.
Mm,
So it's a very different system, but
that
yeah,
place is beautiful.
thank
That
you.
place is
I'm
it's
just
stunning.
fortunate enough that I was able to get into something like this. Um, really, really cool project.
So tell me, Doron, who has influenced you in your life? Like what people have could you say attribute to your success and your drive in business and in real estate?
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, what I'm about to say, but it's just the truth. And I wish I could say somebody helped me, but and I'm the first person that will give credit. I mean, I'm the first person that will. I think that a lot of my success has to do with the survival mechanism that I had since very early age. The whole almost like it's on do or die, mentality. And I certainly want to say that there were some good people along the way, but at the end of the day, nothing that I can speak of to say that I can contribute my success to, because at the end of the day, I wasn't that fortunate. I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I'm raising 3 kids now, and it's one of the most anxious discussions between parents in the world, right? How you raise the kids, by helping them or letting them figure out things on their own. And do you know how they make how to make someone a handicap?
Yeah, by just giving them everything on a silver platter.
If I want to make someone a handicap, I'm giving him crutches,
Mm.
right? So the only arguments I ever have with my wife, we have an amazing relationship, amazing. We never fight, and it's rare. I don't want to jinx myself here. The only arguments we have is about those things with the kids. It's not on how to raise them, because she does an amazing job, but she's just always trying to nurse, aid, help, support.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more like, let them figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Let them deal with it. And this is really, I think, what I can contribute my success for, not who, can I contribute for, to. It's the whole lot of those figuring out and pivoting and thinking on my feet and adapting. Man, adapting. Life throws at you whatever. You need to adapt, those things I contribute to my success to, for sure. And, I'm looking for partnerships. I'm always looking for good partnerships to scale and succeed and help people also change their lives. And I'm always on the look, man. I feel that the best thing in all communities are the people. It's not that how much money is in this real estate community or the other. It's the people, for sure.
So I would say that it's similar for me as well. I definitely didn't grow up with having a rich family. I can remember the times where we had a gas stove, and I would take a hot dog and stick it on a fork and cook it over the gas stove. So yeah, I came from, some humble beginnings myself, and I get it. That has definitely given me a lot of drive, because I don't want to go back to that. And I don't want, my family to have to deal with that either. So there's definitely drive there. The other thing that you were saying about the kids, I think it's important to try and instill some of that into the kids. So we have a son, Liam, and he's 13 years old now. He's got his own dog walking business now at this point. He's mowing lawns.
Love it.
And trying to instill some of the business sense into him, and like he's keeping his own books. He's got everything on paper now. And we try to give him everything he needs, but also let him fall on his face a little bit, and also not give him everything on a silver platter, so that he doesn't become that kind of, I don't even know what the word for it is, but you know how it is, like the rich kids that just got everything. Like they're entitled, right? They don't care. It's like you could put a Porsche in front of them and say, "Here, this is yours," and they'd be like, "Yeah, great, thanks."
Yeah, great. So, the next week they have it wrapped on a pole.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, "Where's my new Porsche, Dad?"
Yeah, I mean, come on, what's taking you so
long? So yeah, just appreciating things in life and taking care of your stuff, and also taking care of people, because that's important to us as well. So if not people, how about books? So have there been any books that you have read that you think have been, pivotal to where you are today? Information that you obtained from those that maybe if you didn't obtain that particular nugget of information, that you wouldn't be where you are currently?
Yeah. So The book is called The Power of Now. I think it's Edgar Tolle, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually looking for his name, The Power of Now. I just don't like screwing things up. Yeah, Eckhart Tolle. It wasn't far away. Um, but you touched on something I want to just go back to real quick. You said helping people is so important. Yeah, man. The whole helping people is so much in my DNA because nobody ever helped me.
Mm.
And I didn't figure it out till like really, really up in my 40s why it was always like what's moving my chemistry. Like I was just the happiest man alive when I helped people. And it just dawned on me like really late in life that it's because of that. I was always looking for someone to help me because I was always in a need, almost like a survival. I needed like, to survive. And I was just not fortunate enough. And this is not a sober story of me basically, sobbing over it. It's more about the fact that that's kind of why my DNA is. I couldn't agree with it more. Helping people is so important. That's really the essence of who we are as human beings. There's a reason why, we're in communities and we thrive in communities because we're creatures that are supposed to be in groups and help each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super important, and I think that's also the best therapy out there. When you sometimes are not feeling whole, you feel that you're beating yourself up for something. You thought you could maybe do better, and you go and you help someone. It's empowering. You're almost taking control of who you are as a person.
Absolutely. The thing that I still struggle with it today is helping people is also a bit of a balancing act because not everybody is going to utilize the help that you give them. So there are people out there, and there's a name for them. I'll just call them ask holes.
Yeah, know it. I'm familiar with the name. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So they'll ask you all the questions, and you can provide them with, this whole presentation of exactly how they need to do it from A to Z, and how they can be, a multimillionaire. And you give them the keys to the car, and then they take the keys and they're just like, "Yep, thanks," and then they don't do anything with it. And it's like, well, my time is important, so. I want to help you, but I also want you to help yourself. So that's the issue that I've come across time and time again is I want to help people so bad, but there needs to be a line where you kind of test what you're doing, so that you're not just wasting your time on somebody they're not going to do anything with it. Like you need to make sure that they're utilizing it. And also, the other part of it too, and I learned this a long time ago, is teach a man to fish instead of give him the fish. Because if you teach him, he'll be fed for the rest of his life. If you give him the fish, he'll be fed for a day. So you can't just like give somebody money and expect them to, do anything with it. They're going to blow it. So you got to be calculated in your help. So you can't just give away the farm and expect that they're, going to be now a farmer. They're probably just going to, let weeds grow all over everything. Yes, when you do find that person that is willing and able to utilize the advice that you give them, that is the most rewarding thing for me, is able to, like this over here where you can reach down and actually pull somebody up. That is what I strive for every day. I think that it's important to have at least one person that you can mentor like that. And then it's also important to have people that are above you doing the same thing, helping you up as well.
Yeah. So when I say help, I don't mean with money. And I know you didn't think that I did, but I want to just refine a point, right? I help with money people in need. If it's and I don't say that to anybody, but I just want to drive a point. Like I don't go bragging, oh, I donated this or I donated that. Nobody even knows what I'm donating, who I'm donating it to. But for example, when I say needs, people that, right before the holiday, they don't have money to make a holiday, dinner, right? Like things that impact on families. Cancer, like kids with cancer because of my twin brother. So that's the extent of help with money that I do. But when I help people, I help in a way that it empowers them, not cripples them. If I throw money at their problems, they'll blow it, and then they not just didn't learn anything from it, and they're back at the same point, probably shorter, sooner than later. It's more like really taking the time and sitting with them and going into what is the root of the problem, and how we can change the perceptions and their almost like shifting, making a different paradigm in their head of how they view the situation. And then, you change the software in their head. You almost like reprogram them. It's almost like you did the software update. They're not running on the same operating system anymore. That's what I mean by helping people in a way that empowers them to succeed further. Not in a way that cripples them. I just wanted to kind of touch on that.
No, I agree. It's a difficult thing though, in my experience. I try to help a lot of people, and a lot of times it, unfortunately doesn't work out, and but other times it does, and that's what I was getting at. Is that's the most rewarding thing for me, is when I can see a lot of people, they say they want to see people succeed, and as soon as they start reaching a level that's equal to or better than where they're, perceived to be at, they don't like that anymore. And then they'll start a lot of them will try to sabotage you. That's not me at all. Like I would love to see people go way above and beyond me, and, know that like maybe I played a little part in giving them that. So I take joy out of that. Other than The Power of Now, were there any other books that stand out to you, Doron?
Not at the moment. I mean, I listen to books on pretty much any car ride that I ever do. Nothing that pops out. I mean, I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to evolve. I love learning. If I'm not learning, I feel like I'm dying. I can't think of something here top of my head. No.
What's the most latest one that you've been listening to?
The one about how to tell your story that Pace recommended in Squad Up. I do audibles, and I didn't get through it yet, but I feel that it hit.
I believe that was The Art of Storytelling.
I believe so. Yeah, it's
that's on my list.
Yeah, building. I just had it in front of me. Building a story brand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's by Donald Miller.
Gotcha.
And going into my library here just to refine an answer for you. The Highest Calling was very good. By Lawrence Zansky. Left a good imprint in me.
Perfect. 3 will do it, brother. 3 is perfect.
Yeah.
I like that. Cool. I'll stick those in the description. Those are great books. And that other one that you had mentioned about the storytelling, I got to go back because I think that might be a different one that he is suggesting. So now I got to put another one on my list.
Yeah. Did you went to a squat summit?
I wasn't able to make it, unfortunately.
Yeah. They had
Pretty
the
bummed.
amazing.
Yeah. So we've been talking for a while. We're getting towards the end, but I'm curious, what is it that you need in your business currently? What can we do to help you?
Well, what I need now is just I guess capital. You know, I am used to for many years use my self capital to kind of build stuff and then refi my money out. And what's happening now with the interest rate doesn't make sense for me to get my money out at the rate. So I'm learning that it doesn't make any difference how much money you have. Even people that have much more money than I could dream of, they and Pace talks about that also, that they need to learn how to use other people's money, either other people's money or creative. So I would love to try to get into creative multifamily. I've never done it before, but I feel it's the right timing for me to do that. So my goals are basically to learn how to raise capital and also learn how to inquire things creatively in the multifamily space, and maybe even also in the hotel or resort arena as well.
It's doable. So the one that I invested with Pace on, 160 unit multifamily, that was bought sub 2. So it's definitely doable. It's just about finding somebody who is, willing, and approaching that and making it a win-win situation for them.
That's
so
through his fund, right?
Yes.
Your fund. Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. It's capital raising. So it's either opening a fund, which is not really, out of reach. It's something that I can do. It's just getting the time to learn it and perfect it to the right one for you, for you to use the fund model as the right vehicle for you, because I'm kind of used to syndication model. But when you're scaling, it's a much better, I feel, model. So yeah, so the 160 is through his fund. That's a pretty good vehicle.
Yeah. So I think what we need to do is find you somebody who is well versed in that and help kick it off for you. I think it's definitely within the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, everything is in the realm of possibility.
Of course.
No such thing that exceeds them.
So now the next question is, somebody who's listening to this right now is the perfect fit for that. How do they reach out to you? Where can they find you?
Okay, so Doron, my name, at REI, stands for real estate investment, dash hub.com. Hub is with a B, HUB. REI dash hub.com.
Perfect. Are you doing anything on social media?
I got yelled at for not doing social media, so now I am. Yeah.
So tell me about some of your socials that you'd like people to check out. You on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? Where can they find you?
Cool. So my Facebook is my name, Doron Levi, and my Instagram is Doron Levi REI for real estate investment or investor, real estate investor. I don't do TikTok, but I started to basically get some help to get that up. And LinkedIn is also my name. And I'm working on basically vamping everything up between my, TikTok and LinkedIn, and and Facebook and Instagram, I am starting to document a lot of things that I'm doing because I understand that I need to have a social media identity out there. Uh, it's a
People
work in progress.
people want to know, like, and trust the person that they're doing business with, and a lot of them will do the internet stalking to get that feeling of like knowing them before they start doing business with them.
Yeah. So, you know, you you learn, you adapt, and you just do. That's what we do. I Many years I was just focused on doing, and I kind of put it on the sideline. And now I'm learning that's the thing that is really important for your success. So I'm doing it. Be open minded. I'm still learning, and I'm going to learn all my life to the day I die. And like you said, you can reach a hand to somebody, you can't make him take it. You know of it, act. Just act on it. It's not enough to know. So I'm working on it for sure.
Perfect. And I think that's a fantastic place to end this. Doron, I appreciate you so much for coming on and spending time with me and coming on and doing this podcast. It's been a pleasure. You've dropped a lot of amazing information, and I can't thank you enough.
I am extremely thankful that you invited me here. Yeah. I'm very happy I came, and hopefully I was able to give value to your listeners.